Welcome to Beyond the Box. Today we're talking with Slade Sherman, Head of Digital Strategy at Buzz Australia. Thanks for joining us today, Slade.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Buzz works with global brands to develop connected products for consumers and retail locations. Can you tell us the basics of what connected products actually are?
Yeah, so I think connected products relates to this whole area of the Internet of Things, which we hear a lot about in the media these days. And really it's about, for us, looking at everyday products and predominantly products that have got energy and connecting them up to the internet. So essentially anything, our view is that anything with power, whether it be battery power or mains power, at some point should be connected to the internet. And so we are into designing products around that future. There's a lot of projections and predictions out there saying there's going to be, trillions of products online. Yeah. And so essentially a connected product is moving from the environment where, 10, 15 years ago, we would have had experience of everything being online or connected being a computer. We've now moved to a scenario where mobile phones are ubiquitous and everybody with a smartphone understands that they are connected with this personal ID on them that performs a whole range of functions. And so essentially a connected product is just about moving into the home. What things around you could be connected to the internet, from televisions, wearables,
fridges, all those sorts of things.
Fridges,
lights, all sorts of things can be connected. So our homes are going to be completely wired, so to speak. So what possibilities does that present to product marketers?
I think there's massive possibilities in regard to rethinking what a product is and the service offering that you have. So a mistake marketers could make in this new age of connected products is just thinking that if you connect something up, then it will be better. And there's been some early examples, for example, in the space of connected fridges, where many people were thinking, let's connect a fridge, put a tablet on the front of a fridge, and the question is, well, what value does that add?
What need is it going to give to the consumer that it's not being met currently?
Correct. How does it change behaviour? And so, being able to check the weather from my fridge, isn't that useful? I've got a tablet that does that. And so it's about thinking about, firstly, the application for that product and whether it's absolutely, actually necessary or not necessary. And then the other thing is just thinking about business systems. So it's more a business system and a business transformation tool as opposed to a marketing question. How can the connectivity of a product fundamentally change both the product as well as the industry? And there's some good examples out there by companies like Nest overseas, you haven't heard of Nest?
Nest, sorry.
Okay, so Nest, company that have been bought by Google, they do a home thermostat system that sits on your wall. It's connected to the internet, and what it does is allows you to change the temperature of your home based on how comfortable you are. And because it's all connected at a really simple level, you can change your temperature on your mobile phone. But what it does then is it starts to learn about your behaviour, so that midsummer the Nest thermostat knows that you prefer, for example, 21 degrees in your home, and it will automatically set the temperature for that. And that learning behaviour then results in efficiencies in the amount of energy that you're using in your home heating and cooling systems, which then results in money savings. And so they've taken a traditional boring product of a thermostat and transforming, revolutionising the way that we interact with those products.
And I guess it can also benefit the energy producer as well, because they can use the data from that in conjunction with the consumer in order to off-peak and peak times and when they actually supply energy to the home.
Exactly.
So long as it's within a sort of like, as I said, the thermal preference of the consumer. So with that kind of thing in mind, what should marketers think about when it comes to consumer engagement and the future of one-on-one relationships?
Well, I think consumer engagement is really interesting with these products because, so my background is in the loyalty marketing industry, and 10, 15 years ago, the challenge was all about getting a card in people's hands so that you could learn about that relationship, either with air miles or the bank relationship that you had. These days, when we're putting a product in people's homes, we're starting to understand deep insights as to their behaviour. And so the opportunity of one-to-one for marketers is essentially relates back to the big data question, the fact that when you have a product in people's hands and you understand what they're doing, you're able to service them in a more meaningful and relevant way. So some of the things that we're working on, just to illustrate that point, is we've got a medical compliance device under development at the moment, and what that's doing is it's addressing keeping people in their homes longer, and through a device that monitors that people have taken their medications. So when you look at mature market and the number of people that are on meds, but also the desire to stay in your home longer, there's a reliance at the moment on Royal District nursing services to go around and check that you're doing what you should be doing, and that you're healthy and that you're taking your medications on time. And the machine that we're developing is a complement to that. So it reminds the customer or the patient to take their medications at 8 a.m. because it's their 8 a.m. dose. But then if they forget to take it, it then prompts the carer looking after that person to say, look, it's 9 a.m.
They haven't taken their medication.
Haven't taken their medications, let's get in contact with them. And so that's solving real world problems in a meaningful way, just using this added technology in order to do it. So that's a product example with pharmaceutical companies that we're working with, where there is a clear benefit for them in engaging with the customer one-to-one. Previously, the relationship might have been with the pharmacist and stopping there, but now they can actually add value not just to the customer but to the carer as well as to the pharmaceutical, as well as to the pharmacist.
So there is still really quite a first mover advantage to be grabbed in this area then?
Yeah.
It's still early days.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you have to be bold because you've got to, as I said, you've got to rethink the business models associated with doing a connected product. And like everything, you're not going to get it right first time. But there is that if people are looking at their service offering or the products that they're putting out there, there is first advantage in getting out there. You don't necessarily have to make the product yourself as well. I mean, as a company, we manufacture
developments
things
as well.
Yeah. And with every new product type, you look at things like Fitbit. There will be app stores. The example I used earlier of Nest, they've released an API or an app store to allow other users to write apps to interface their service or product offering with that platform. So kind of like what Apple did with the App Store
exactly.
6 or 7 years ago, this is going to start happening with a whole bunch of products in people's homes.
As well. Excellent.
Yeah.
So brands with smaller markets, and I guess this leads into this, is brands with smaller markets and smaller budgets. So connected product opportunities, will they actually, I don't think they'll be, but will they be out of their reach, or will they see solutions becoming much cheaper? I think we've kind of touched upon that.
Yeah, I think just on the point we made earlier about app development. So it is there's two choices to make. Am I going to make a product that is connected, or am I going to use other people's platforms? So if you're a manufacturer of something already, there is a legitimate question to say, well, what are the costs of putting sensors in this product and putting connectivity, whether by Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, to enhance the function of the product? And we've come a long way over the last couple of years, but we are still really at the start of this race.
Of the whole journey.
And that approach does require time. So product development on a connected product, you've got to be considering your industrial design and your manufacturing and supply chain of actually making the product. But then there's a whole bunch of new services you need to add to the back end, like app development, like systems design and software engineering. And so there's a whole bunch of things that you need to do. There's skills you required, and it takes a lot of time. So it can be out of the reach unless it's core to your central business strategy. It's not something done on a whim.
Yeah, and I guess, as you said earlier, then they can, if that is the case for whatever particular industry, they can just piggyback off existing technology that's out there with just app development.
Yeah, which I think is really smart. And there's a range of tools out there that are embracing that sort of philosophy. There's a really good product over in the US called If This Then That, which people are using at a simple level. I can set a reminder with If This Then That on my mobile phone to say, if it's the first of any month, then I need to remind myself in order to pay a bill. But those same tools are now being used for a bunch of connected products. So you can set up your Philips Hue lights to respond under certain circumstances.
Okay.
So, if it's Halloween, then change my lights to red. And so there's a number of software tools out there to enable that. It's still very much in the maker market, the geeks that are using them, but that will change, and it will be made a lot easier by brands getting on board and supporting things.
So looking out to the next 12 months, even though we're only at the beginning of this wave of change, what do you think is the one thing that product marketers really need to get right?
That's an interesting question. I think the one thing you need to get right is start with a real problem, and that's not even a technology. That's not even a technology solution. You see time and time again, often the way that these products are marketed, or Internet of Things products are marketed early on, is through platforms like Kickstarter and other crowdfunding platforms. And often you'll see things on there that just don't make sense. So for example, the ability for me to turn on my toaster in Melbourne when I'm lying on the beach in Bali, it's like, highly questionable. And so doing it for that reason is the wrong reason. You've got to start with the customer problem. So using that toaster example, you might justify connecting a toaster if you're a manufacturer of toasters and they're breaking down regularly, and there's some cost saving from identifying that it's going to break down before your customer knows it. That's quite powerful. May not necessarily be a great example for a toaster, but this is where the people need to think about their products and where they're headed. The way that we would advise our clients, we're working on an exciting new product, which is actually a fridge. You used the example of a fridge early on. It's a beverage fridge for people's homes, and it automatically counts the stock that goes in and out, and it's linked to a fulfillment back end, so that if you are running out of drinks, that you'll get a prompt below the level that you've set. So I might only have 10 drinks in the fridge, and I've set up my app to remind me.
Like when I get down to 4, you have to give me like a critical warning that I'm running out.
Exactly, and then give you the option of, I might be in my car and there's a bottle shop just around the corner from me, so show me where that is, or get home delivery if that's the option. So it's about thinking about how these systems jump in, and we would be advising our customers just to think about the business that they're in.
It's solving customers' problems, essentially. You can't just create things which aren't going to address a need or a problem that's in the marketplace.
Correct, and I think the other thing for marketers on that is be bold. So we often go out there and we're dealing with large global companies, and you get one of two reactions when you present an Internet of Things product. There are the marketers that straight away put it in the too hard basket, and it is challenging, it is hard, but the rewards are huge, and we've got some great case studies as a result of that. So those marketers that are thinking about the benefits of these new technologies will have an advantage over the others.
And our last question for the day, our words of wisdom question. What would you suggest to marketers as they work within and strive to keep pace of the ongoing innovation and changes? What sort of words of wisdom would you give to them?
I think be bold.
Yeah.
And again, probably don't think about the technology first up. Think about the problem you're solving, and we try and do that internally as well. Is whilst we have so many high-tech solutions within our team, we probably place more emphasis on the user experience and the customer relationship before we even get to technology. Starting with technology is one of the bigger mistakes that you can make.
Agreed. Excellent. Thank you so much for your time, Slade.
Thank you.
It's been very interesting.
Thanks.
Cheers.